It's probably at least a dozen or 20. Yeah. I mean, it's very close. It's not very on. It's great news. It is not great news. It really should belong to much to see. Yeah, you know that. That. I don't think I'm looking around. Next series. Yes.
John, his property, it says. Okay, we're about to begin. You and you are. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May Star and Wave and the Atlantic City Press, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as the required notice under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available for the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Would everyone please rise for the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America. One nation, under God, indivisible.
Jim Barnes,
Present.
George Dick,
Here.
John Fusco is absent. Allison Morgan. Here. Paul Mulligan.
Here.
Kevin O'Neill.
Here.
Tom Richard.
Here.
Lisa Rosselli.
Here.
Carol Sabo. Here. Ryan Griffin.
Here.
Carol Ray Flynn is absent.
Okay, now, item tonight, we're going to have a presentation from Canoni Associates that helped us with our master plan reexamination report. And Matt, do you want to come on up?
Yeah, I was gonna sit here. I should grab this.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Push the button, green means go.
All right, how's that work?
Thank you.
It's good. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Good to see you again. Matt wanted to make it with Benoni Associates here just to run down a recap of the master plan reexamination report. Some of these slides, if you've been here before, will be familiar, but we want to start from the beginning and go back through it. So I'm going to provide you a brief overview of the entire process. First, why is the borough updating the master plan? How did we get here? What is required and what is being adopted? As a reminder, your current master plan was adopted in 2005, re-examined in 2015, and again this year. So you're still using the 2005 master plan as the foundation for planning, and we just threw that relic of 2005 to remind you how long that's been. So we've been working our way through this process. As you'll see here, we did background research, had a kickoff meeting 10 or so months ago, maybe a little less than that. Met with staff a few times, multiple meetings with stakeholders, had the online survey, and then we drafted our recommendations, which were bounced off the municipality and incorporated that feedback into the final plan, which we're here for adoption tonight. So we are at the end of that long road there. Just to recap what the state requires that this is, it's different from a full master plan. It can incorporate some new ideas and some new concepts to get into, but not as to the depth of a traditional full master plan, which has multiple elements that you also have to complete. The re-exam just requires that you identify the major problems and objectives relating to land development, the extent that those have changed and recommended modifications, the extent of changes in the assumptions, policies, and objectives which form the basis of your master plan. Specific changes recommended for that or the development regulations, if any, and whether a new plan should be prepared. Recommendations concerning the incorporation of redevelopment plans, which you don't have, and recommendations concerning the appropriate locations for public electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So I'll go through one or two slides for each of these quickly as a recap. So the first one, the major problems and objectives relating to land development. That's section 2 in the document we're here for tonight. We identified the 49 from the previous master plan strategies and went point by point to look at how they have, what changes have happened since then. And the next section here was a little bit of the second part of that. That's section 3. That's the extent that the problems and objectives have changed. So you'll see things like no change at all for a lot of them, and some of them there'll be a little update on what has changed since the last one. There are some recommendations from the 2015 report that we wanted to take a look at again. There were 5 there. Those were sustainability. There's a task force recommendation for responsible growth. There's a listing on affordable housing, one on dark skies, and one on FEMA. So we took a look at those, looked at how they had changed, and for the most part, we saw there was no change, that everything remained valid and affirmed, or they were reduced. The third section that the state requires us to do was look at the changes in the assumptions, policies, and objectives. So here we call this kind of the Wikipedia section of it. We looked at local trends, your growth, your demographics, how housing has changed over time, and also the regulatory changes at both the state, county, and municipal level. So for state, for example, there's CAFR regulations that are new. There's the cannabis legalization that's happened, and there's also the new requirement for a climate change-related hazard vulnerability assessment, which you would have to do if you did a full master plan with a land use element. So we just made sure that this was all incorporated in the document, so you had a record of that, what's changed since. Slide 1 of 2 on this, on what was actually being adopted and the specific changes recommended here. So we did have that residence survey, which ran from March 14th to April 18th. We got 164 responses, which is pretty good number for a community this size. And in summary, we found that the top issues that the community was concerned with was preserving open space from development, an economic desire to preserve agricultural activities as agricultural activities and not turn those over into other commercial activities. And also look at your transportation infrastructure when it comes to bicycles. So there are some recommendations in the document for that. And we also looked at some land use ordinance amendments. There were some issues that we had been brought to our attention through both speaking with the community through the survey and also at these meetings, concerns about sustainability. So we recommended adopting resilient environments and landscape regulations, that's the acronym REAL, which is a statewide best practice at this point. Investigating options for an ordinance change that would regulate short-term rentals. And revising your standards to encourage contextual redevelopment that's in an appropriate scale. So I guess there was a concern that was brought to us about homes being torn down for being replaced by even larger homes. It affects stormwater management, it affects the context and the neighborhood character in general. So we're recommending that you guys continue to investigate that by amending your setback requirements, figuring out what the right number is for that. And also floor area ratio, another tool you can use, and also revising the impervious surface requirements. So those are all new recommendations of things that have changed since 2015 that we think you should take a deeper dive into. And again, those last two, the recommendations for redevelopment plans, the borough does not have any current redevelopment plans, so we made a statement as to that point for that section to check that box. And finally, the recommendations concerning electric vehicle charging infrastructure. You know that you adopted an ordinance that establishes requirements for that, so that should take care of that requirement as well. So that's just a quick overview of what you have in front of you. Are there any specific questions for me? That's all I have.
Matt, the only one, I guess I do have a question, and it's, I forget now, was, regarding zoning and reevaluating, I thought that was an important point from this, to, reevaluate what's allowed.
Right.
As far as multifamily dwellings in all of our zones.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I thought that, I mean, one of the important points to do.
Right, and your tool for making changes there would be through zoning and going through another process for that, but we want to make sure that if that was a concern to the community, that we addressed it.
That's, at page 35. It's under sustainability. Each zone should be evaluated with regard to multifamily property. And I think that's one of the issues we've been grappling with. Does anyone from the board have anything else?
Now, can you go to the next to last slide, I believe that you showed some fire.
For that.
There we go. Second one now, just so there's no clear understanding. Housing investigate options for an ordinance change in regulation, short-term rentals. We beat this one to death. And the end result was, I think that we did not, and the way we broke it in here, we did not say we're gonna eliminate short-term rentals below, I think one of the things was get rid of the 3 one-day rentals, but we did not do that. That's not the intent of that. What we did write in here is we want to change the ordinance and the way we do mercantile licenses so that we can have our code enforced in terms of noise, parking, number of guests in the place.
Right.
I should be able to afford it. So just want to make sure everybody's clear, everybody's listening on the.
Yeah, and I could read that section.
Yeah, can you just a second? So everybody's clear on that, because last time we actually had a discussion about it, there was a lot of, I think, misconceptions of what.
Okay. Sure, so we define short-term rentals as those brokered through companies like Airbnb and Vrbo, which are currently permitted, although the community and stakeholder outreach process identified this as an issue. It should be noted that New Jersey municipalities do have the authority to regulate short-term rentals through zoning ordinances. So our recommendation is that the borough investigate options for an ordinance change to regulate occupancy, the amount of parking required, and noise with regard to all rentals.
Not the length. Just to be clear.
Thank you. Anyone else from the board? Anything? Your presentation is complete.
It is, yes.
Okay, so I'd like to open the public portion and ask that anyone that would like to speak about the master plan step forward and give your name, your address, and please the spelling of your name as well. Okay.
Amy, board members, my name is Lindsay Newcomb from the Law Firm of Monzo Academy, Solalis. I'm here tonight on behalf of the owners of 415 Second Avenue to offer a brief comment on the master plan. I submitted a letter to Mr. King last week that I believe was disseminated amongst the board members, so I won't go into it. Definitely know we've got some time constraints, but I just wanted to reiterate what we're asking for and what our concerns are. I understand that this isn't the board that decides where sewer goes, right? That's a committee issue. Extending sewer is up to the committee. So what we're asking is just that the statement that is in the master plan stating that they don't believe that sewer should be extended along Second Avenue and that the borough has determined that an expansion is not warranted and that no septic system failures have occurred in the area and there have been recent replacement of several systems be removed. We're asking for that for 2 reasons. 1, because we don't think that it is true, that it's not warranted. And 2, because we think the statement that the septic system failures haven't occurred is factually incorrect. I submitted with my letter, the response that we received from the county health department regarding septic system replacement in this area. There have been numerous replacements over the years. Replacement, inherently is due to a failure, right? That failure may be due to age, which was previously the response of the committee when this was discussed. But the problem with saying that it is not a failure because of age is that when you go to put a new system in on an undersized lot, it is not a compliant system. That doesn't mean that permits can't be issued for it. They can be issued via the DEP through an advanced treatment system that costs thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to put in, or they can permit an undersized system on the lot. But regardless, it is not a compliant septic system. Our letter goes more in depth on this. The percentage of lots that are undersized in this area is well over 50%. And again, what we're here asking is just that the statement be removed from the exam report. It's not asking to extend sewer right now. That's not this request. That would be a subsequent request that would have to be reviewed by the committee as a whole. But we're asking that the statement that it's not warranted, as well as the statement that failures don't exist, be removed because they're not, simply not true. We had a meeting with the county health department. We met with Heather Carr Johnson. She repeatedly reiterated that these statements were not true, that any statements that were taken perhaps out of context or may have been misconstrued or just misunderstood were inaccurate, and that the county, in her eyes, fully supports the extension of sewer in that area for both public health reasons, in terms of the fact that we don't want sewage running down Second Avenue, but also for environmental reasons. You've got wetlands in the area, you have really high water tables here, and it's not conducive with having sewer when, based on comments from your own engineer, it is viable to have an extension of sewer. My clients are here. I'm happy to answer any questions they may choose to speak. I know you all got my letter, and I just wanted to reiterate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public that would like to come forward?
Can I ask a question on that?
Absolutely.
What, objective number would that have been?
That is,
3.1, page 25. Under sewer.
Yeah.
Objective number 1.
Taking out the first half of that sentence, no septic system failures have occurred in that area. I mean, obviously, that requires maintenance, that would be technically fairly nice to lose.
Yeah.
That's not a substantial change to the plan, it should have.
I did read 120 pages of data today. I highlighted it all, I had everything read. I read the whole document. I would say, based on of that reading, I think there's a little bit of confusion as to what the word failure means. And you actually hit on that a little bit.
Sorry, I didn't.
Please, go on. A failure, when you go to the health department because your system is not working properly with you, that is considered a failure by the health department. That is the word that they use. So you are correct, I think you're correct, that no septic system failures have occurred. From the extent that there are, by looking at the data of each of the houses, some are 37-year-old systems, some are 45-year-old systems, some have trees growing into the roots. Technically, they were all failures. At no time did the health department, and when you guys may have just recently gone to the health department, but I know when I was not in office at the time, it was health department, we got the meeting with Mr. Chu and asked about this. That there were, the one who was in it was the same person who was Johnson. She said that there were failures, just like I agree with that. But she did not say there was any health issues imminent to the borough. That was what was stated at the time on the 7/14/2022 meeting. So I have no issue taking out that no septic system failures have occurred. That part, that sentence says, fine, that has no meaning to what this goes to. But the fact of the second sentence, there has been a request and has been examined extensively. You guys have lots of documentation, so do we. I don't believe that the part where it says, while there had been a request made to extend sewer along Second Avenue, the borough has determined that such an expansion is not warranted at the present time. I don't think that's a factually correct statement. We went through this for 12 meetings, I believe, and it came down to that, between what homeowners, we actually made an offer, the borough made an offer to the homeowners that they would be assessed an amount over 20 years. And it was actually 68 houses because we would have to run the units down the alleys. It was almost unanimous that the people who wanted this system didn't want to pay for it. They didn't want that assessment. So that and the fact that people who had just built their septic system or took care of theirs and didn't have any failures didn't want it. And that was about 30% of people. So given that data, we said at this time, we didn't need to put in sewer.
Right, and I think that I understand what you're saying, and listen, the borough is the one who makes the decision whether it's warranted, right? I can't tell you that saying it's warranted is an inaccurate statement. I just wanna make sure that you are basing that statement on the fact that there were failures, right? Which I think we can all agree that they existed, and I think that when you look at whether or not it's warranted right now, well, that might be true, right? But your master plan exists for the next 10 years. And by putting that in here, it is negating the owner's ability for the next 10 years to go to the committee and say, we think that sewer is warranted here now, because the committee can then always rely on the fact that it says, no, it's not warranted.
So
In a master plan. But you don't, by removing this, it doesn't mean you have to extend sewer there. It just means that it's an option in the future for the people to come to you, and it's not in your master plan, a document that you are in essence bound by, right? You rely on this when you make zoning arguments, when you make decisions. You don't have to always, it doesn't always have to stay the same, but putting it in there for the next 10 years is saying that we understand what we're doing, and for the next 10 years, this is what's warranted.
it doesn't say that.
I don't,
At this time.
I don't agree with that.
It
It says at this time, which means today.
But I guess the
That
question is
doesn't
why
negate
then?
some change that happens over the next 10 years. And I'll also add to that and say that I did have, my sewer system was 30-some years old, and I lived on Third Avenue. And I did have to replace it. I replaced it in January and February 2021. I got permits. It was because of roots. The trees had to come down. I had to pay to get the trees down and pay to have somebody let me take the trees down, which was cool. I missed my trees though. I got a new system. I had no problems with the county, and it was, I think it was around $20,000. The extra was for driveway. It was destroyed. But it's a fully compliant system. I'm on a 50 by 150 lot, same as most people in that area. And I don't agree that it's not compliant and permitted. It is.
The undersized lots exist. I don't know your property. I can't speak to your specific situation.
You said 7,500 square feet.
I'm saying that undersized lots are getting systems approved by the county. That's true. That doesn't mean that they are systems that are consistent with the regs in the New Jersey Administrative Code. It means that the county is allowed to approve systems on undersized lots that are not fully compliant. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that your system didn't get permitted or anybody with an undersized lot. I'm saying that they are not systems that are compliant with what's required in the administrative code, because that requires a specific lot size to be able to happen. That's all. And the only other comment I'll make is that it sounds as if my understanding was that a lot of this was based on the objective to to curtail development, right? Which you talked about when you talked about here, right? It is to keep the character of West Cape May, keep the homes a certain size, keep the neighborhood the way that they are. And there are lots of ways to do that, which you have set forth, right? You're changing impervious cover, you're dealing with it in floor area ratio, you're looking at lot sizes, you're curtailing multifamily dwellings. There are lots of ways to do that that doesn't require the borough to say, don't put sewer here because it will help us curtail it. That is what my client is trying to say, is in the future, this might be something that we need. These are undersized lots. Septic systems aren't good for the environment in areas where the water table is high and you have environmentally sensitive areas where repeated systems have failed. That's all I'm saying.
So I agree with you that we shouldn't, you're not asking us to give you sewer. And that's fair. But I can tell you that over the months that we've had this discussion, many of your clients have been here. And the discussion was, at this time, we don't think it is warranted because we don't see the health issues that. And we did discuss, if in the future there's some event that we have to do something, we would be willing to do it. That's why it says at the present time, and that's the
I understand.
word. So again, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but clearly I think no septic system failures have occurred. We can strike that last sentence, but the other one has no bearing. That is a factual statement. At this time, the borough has said the expansion is not warranted. It does not mean that 5 years from now, it will be, 2 years, 10 years. It doesn't say that. So you're asking us to remove something that because of a reason that isn't really there.
I'm letting you know that I didn't want you to be making that decision based on factual information. And what we're saying is that you're removing what I said was factually inaccurate, right, which is that there were
Semantics, worse, but
well,
there are failures.
I wasn't here the last couple meetings, right? So I can't say that I heard your discussions and you understand. That's all. I wasn't here, so I have to go off of what I've seen, what I've heard. And that's all we were asking, is that the statement be.
I have no problem. I mean, we can vote on striking the last sentence, but I don't want to change anything else in it personally. I think it's exactly how we want it.
Yes, so just the part about, septic system failures.
What about possibly just changing that second to last statement to say not warranted at the time of the reexamination, the business reexamination?
No, it's at this present time means at the time of the examination.
I know, but just to reinforce that point. Do we need a resolution to do this? Make change?
No.
This is our due minor,
Okay.
I'm sure. Rich, would be okay to
We'll
take
note
that?
in the minutes, the thing that you adopt tonight is exhibit A for your resolution, so that exhibit A can do whatever.
Does anyone on the board feel differently about those two sentences?
I do want to comment though, if the county approves a system, like at your home, it's a legal system. The fact that you don't live on 35,000 square feet lot
No,
is irrelevant.
right.
The 35,000 square foot lot requirement from the state of New Jersey is a requirement of this board to not allow a subdivision on an outside the sewer service area of a lot that would be less than 35,000 square foot. So it's apples and oranges when you talk about the size of the lot.
Health department, when we had these conversations with them, was very clear about letting us know whether there was any public safety risk. Obviously, your normal home maintenance of a failure of your waste management system on your property a failure of that system would be a health risk to your property, but that's your normal home maintenance. That is not the borough's responsibility. But they absolutely would be their responsibility, as I understand it, to notify the borough if there was a health risk to the community, so.
And we've had, I mean, in the last couple of years, you've had turnover of property ownership on, say, Stimson, outside the sewer service area. Small lots have gotten their systems either inspected and approved or completely rebuilt on the lots that are there. So it,
And systems are vastly different than they were 30 years ago. The system that we replaced, you know, was old technology, and the new systems are really different than they used to be.
admittedly, it's difficult to have a large leach field on a small lot.
I don't think they would approve.
Oh, you still have to, you have to disperse your, processed water.
Yes.
The old school cesspool, right at the, where the bottom of the tank doesn't have bottom. Is, county's not with that.
West Cape May isn't the only community, beach community, and we're not really, actually, right against the water, but we have several communities that are right on the water that still have septic. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything? Anyone else from the public that would like to come up and speak?
Michael Jahusky, 3026 Avenue, JACHOWSKI. I'd like to bring up,
I'm gonna swear people in this. Can you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thanks, sir.
What was your address?
So I would just like to touch on the,
Can you just state your address one more time slowly? Just state your address one more time slowly.
6th Avenue,
Thank you.
West K9. I'd like to touch again on the sewer septic issue again. I did at a previous meeting, but there's still some in here that it kind of, I don't know, lends itself. So in the 2005 report, it stated provide adequate municipal sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water services throughout the borough. In 2015, under the re-examination, they stated expand water and sewer infrastructure throughout us to support the future development is no longer a desired objective. So when you get down to 3.0 on page 6, I think, yeah. It says the borough will continue to maintain and replace or upgrade what is existing rather than expanding the borough's water sewer infrastructure. So is that the case, or is it, It says, but just before that, previous master plan strategic objective number 1, provide adequate municipal sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water service throughout the borough. So what does that mean throughout the borough? Throughout the existing system?
Are you referring to the 2005 or the 2015?
3.1.
I'm going by what is posted on the website
Yeah.
right now as we speak.
Previous master plan strategic objective number 1.
Only question is, what does throughout the borough mean? Does it mean throughout the entire borough or just the existing system? And the reason I ask is because my wife and I have a genuine concern. We're on 6th Avenue. The sewer system comes 3/4 of the way down the road. There's future plans for reconstruction of 6th Avenue. And why wouldn't it just make sense to extend that system all the way down? I think from where it ends, there's a total of maybe 6 homes. But again, the question,
This document doesn't preclude that from happening.
okay. But that doesn't, again, I'm still asking for clarification on what throughout the borough means. Because up further in 2.0, it states that it's no longer a desired objective.
That was.
Sorry.
Throughout the borough would be a misstatement because you can only have sewer service in the sewer service area. So, with that statement, throughout the borough For water, you can send water everywhere you want, but you can only send sewer service within the sewer service boundaries. As I said a minute earlier, the folks that live on Stimson, they're outside the sewer service area, but they're within the borough.
Right.
They can't have it.
I just think then when certain things are published, so, I mean, maybe it's my lack of understanding, maybe they should be worded so it's understood in a clear manner. Because that certainly doesn't stop.
I'm not looking at exactly what you're looking at, but it sounds like 2015, the verbiage was changed to say, yeah, nobody's looking at the past.
It just say that it was no longer.
So because of overdevelopment, it was changed in 2015 because they didn't want to overdevelop with, and adding the sewer and water might suggest that that's an opportunity to do that, where in 2025, we're trying to continue to say that we don't want to add to it because of overdevelopment. So I think from 2005 to 2015 to 2025, there was a committee change in that venture. Kevin.
Yeah, if I could just add a technical detail, if it was stated in the 2015 re-exam, the language can't be changed now, other than just to say we have a different approach to it now in 2025. The 2015 language, as it was, has to be repeated in this, that's all.
All right, I mean, I understand that, but again, it's just a matter of maybe the word throughout. Yeah.
That's, it's hard to understand because it's very confusing, but anything that's from that previous report stays exactly like it was. We can't change that, so the word throughout is from 2015 stays. And then we answer it with the new.
Right, but what I'm reading is what we just posted on the website, the current.
No, sir, the thing that's on the website contains, it summarizes what was in says what was in 2005,
Right,
says what was in 2015,
yes,
and then has 2025. So all three time periods are referenced in the same document. And we can't change 2005, we can't change 2015, but 2025 is decisions of this board and the opinion of this board. So they can only answer for that.
okay. Let me just ask you one more question, and again, just for clarification. So in reading the part where it says provide adequate municipal sanitary sewer storm system and water service throughout the borough, what year is that from?
It says previous master plan strategic
That was
objective.
2015?
Yeah.
That was from 2005.
All right, and again, I think it would be nice if some of that was spelled out a little bit better,
But
so.
this is our 10th or 12th meeting and we've gone over this many times. In fact, you came out
I did,
and we talked about
but I noticed some of the language is still in there, that's why I've asked.
it's really confusing to all of us. It has to remain in there because it's from that year.
Yeah.
From that last survey. We can't go back and revise what was said then. We're taking the statements as they appeared in that year and restating them and then answering them for the 2025 examination.
All right, understood.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else from the public?
Bill Edinger, 315 Third, Oetinger. One question on page 18, it references,
Sir, do you raise your hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony about the truth, whole truth, and the whole truth, so help you God?
yes, sir. Sorry.
That's my question.
Don't not do that. On page 18, under objective 32, it states other sections, 7, 8, and 10, and I wasn't able to find them. That could be having a stupid attack. Does anybody know where they're located?
They're separate documents.
But where are they? Do we know? In other words, are they on the site, on the website? Are they available here?
I think repository, some, the land use element.
And it would be elements of the original master.
No, that talk about these things that I referenced.
Okay, the ones that I referenced are from the original master plan and or 2015, so they're from 2005, 2015.
So that's where you.
So they're not in this document, that's, I guess they're online, all of the master plans are posted online.
Okay. I just wanted to say, once again, it could be a stupid tack, but on page 37 and 38, the really sometimes excellent recommendations, they will be in the plan, correct?
They are in this plan, yes, they're in this document, and what we've encouraged the borough to do is follow on with ordinance changes to use this as a tool to enact those changes.
Understood. Lastly, I'd like to thank this board. It's been a lot of work, it's been a lot of hours, it's been a lot of reading. You went out of your way to incorporate citizen input, which was greatly appreciated. I could quibble with small things in here, but the nature of democracy is that you're not gonna like everything. So, thank you, because it's been a lot of work and it's been a lot of time. And now the fun part, which is putting all this into action. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public that would like to come forward?
Evening.
Is there a hand, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, all truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please state your name and address.
Catherine, Kaithern, 207 Stevens Street. I too would like to commend the board. It's a tough nut. And reading back and forth between the old master plans and the new master plans, I was here with you for some of it, not all of it, but I heard the confusion and, I get it. It's hard for you, even as members that sit on the board, but it's hard for the public too. And I did hear you really work to try to explain that. I do agree with what Bill just said as well, that now the hard work really begins, because this is where the ordinances and the zoning that needs to be adjusted to encompass the things that you've identified as problems. So, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public who would like to come forward? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close the public portion. And we have this changed.
What was the exact change? It was just, you think of one sentence that, after the comma.
All right.
Okay, so you have a resolution in front of you, the resolution, you have a resolution in front of you, the resolution says that it incorporates as exhibit A, document that was proposed as the near final reexamination. The only changes come out today. You have the whole sentence.
No existing failures have occurred in that area. And then just say, there have been recent replacements of several systems. Okay. I mean, the first part of the sentence. Starts there. It comes out.
So it's exactly the same as was posted to the board.
And acknowledging that there have been.
The only change is the last sentence is deleted on 3.1 under sewer, the last sentence is deleted. No septic system failures have occurred in that area, and there have been recent replacements of several systems. That sentence is out. The new sentence in that place is, there have been recent replacements of several systems, period. Yes. That's the motion, the motion to pass the resolution. Was the resolution posted somewhere? Should we read it? So the public see the resolution.
No.
Why don't we read the whole thing? So the resolution is being adopted, reads as follows. It's kind of boring, but I'm gonna technically have it all on the record because it wasn't, anyway for you to read it, so we should hear it. Resolution number 014-25, findings of fact and conclusions of law of the West Cape May Combined Planning and Zoning Board, whereas, the Borough of West Cape May Combined Planning and Zoning Board is charged with the responsibility to prepare and adopt a master plan pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-28, and to conduct such reexaminations of said master plan as required pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-89. And whereas West Cape May Borough's most recent master plan reexamination report was adopted in 2015, which evaluated the borough's most recent master plan, which was adopted in December of 2005. And whereas the board has engaged Benoni Associates to assist with a master plan reexamination to be completed in 2025. And whereas the board has engaged in several public hearings and private committee meetings with and without Benoni Associates for the purpose of reviewing and revising the proposed master plan reexamination report for 2025. And whereas the board has received a near final draft and made such draft available for review by board members and the public. And whereas the board's assistant has provided notice concerning the master plan reexamination as if it were a master plan, as required by NJSA 40:55D-13. And whereas the board has conducted a final public hearing for adoption of the proposed master plan reexamination on November 18th, 2025. And whereas the board has found good cause for the adoption of the master plan reexamination as it appears as Exhibit A attached to this resolution and as amended as we just read. Now therefore it is on this 18th day of November 2025 hereby determined by the Borough of West Cape May Combined Planning and Zoning Board as follows. Number one, the board has fulfilled its obligations regarding notice, both in a technical sense and in an informal manner, by publishing and providing appropriate notices pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-13, as well as having engaged in several public discussions regarding the various drafts of the master plan reexamination. Two, the board engaged Benoni Associates to conduct a detailed and thorough review and reexamination of the master plan, including several different versions and with multiple edits to the proposed plan, as well as various public inquiries regarding matters of concern to interested parties in the borough. And three, the board has determined the master plan reexamination as it appears on Exhibit A complies with the requirements for a reexamination report as set forth in NJSA 40:55D-89, and that the reexamination is otherwise in the best interest of the borough of West Cape May and is consistent with the municipal land use law and sound planning and zoning principles embodied by said statute. The findings and declarations of Exhibit A are hereby incorporated by reference, and said reexamination report shall be presented to the governing body for such further consideration and proceedings as are required or appropriate pursuant to municipal land use law. Now therefore be it resolved by the Combined Planning and Zoning Board of the Borough of West Cape May, County of Cape May, State of New Jersey, for the reasons set forth above, the board determines the within resolutions hereby approved. That's the resolution you're voting upon. There is one typo that will correct before it's formal signed. It's just the statute numbers. It says 49:55D-89. It should be 40. So that's the motion that I recommend being made, but how you vote is up to you.
I'll make that motion.
That's it.
Barnes,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Morgan, Mulligan,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Roselli,
Yes.
Good job, everyone.
And,
Thank you, Mr. Lyon.
No,
I
thank you.
appreciate
Great work with you guys. I great to get to see you guys looked at all the issues in depth. I really appreciate that. It was a great experience. Thank you. Congratulations.
thank you very much. And since we all have a clean copy, except for that one page 25, Tricia's going to print us all of that. We can just put that into our folks next week,
That's gonna
next meeting.
That's gonna have to mark that only at the end.
Right.
Thank you.
Does he have the exact?
I'll make sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'll email you tomorrow. Matt.
Does anyone else from the board have anything they'd like to?
Thanks everybody for working hard on it. Here.
Maybe a few tenants. We want to have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
I was going to say real quick, my wife and I sat through the very first meeting, that was 3 hours. That felt one way. Thank you.